I'm sitting in the dressing room with the legendary Bobby Lewis. Now Bobby's getting ready to go on stage in a few minutes.
Tony Vance said that he'd take you on as a manager. And I said, fine, great. He said, what you need to do is we're going to give you money to go to Detroit. He's going to be in Detroit to pick up a luxury car. And you take it on from there. I says, okay. So I went to Detroit. That's when I left Indianapolis. I met him and Tony in Detroit. And he says, pick up my car tomorrow, and we're going to drive to California.
Did you go? Did you go?
Yeah, of course I went. You know, the next day he had an Imperial, Chrysler Imperial. And we started driving, and I was still a pretty young guy, about 17 years old, you know. And I hadn't been driving any car. He wanted me to help him drive too. I couldn't help him drive because I couldn't drive. I hadn't learned to drive.
No.
Yeah, so he drove himself all the way from Detroit to, well, we picked up Duke Ellington in San Diego. And there I met Duke and Lucy Johnson, his female vocalist, some of the guys in the band, Ray Nance, and some of the other boys. Of course, Billy Strayhorn and Louis Belson. All these guys were really pros and treated me just like family. You know, I really enjoyed the time I was with them. I didn't get a job singing with Duke, but he did let me audition with his orchestra. So I did one song with Duke. And he says, okay, he said, but he already had a male vocalist, so I couldn't take his place. So after that, I went back to, I went to New York. We drove to New York. And in New York, I got some gigs at the Baby Grand, working, opening shows for Nipsey Russell. A theatrical agent got me a gig in Detroit.
Is this when you met Jackie Wilson?
Yeah, when I got to Detroit, that's when I met Jackie.
And how did your relationship with Jackie Wilson benefit your musical career?
Well, he told me to tell everybody that we're brothers. Tell them same mama, different daddy.
And did you tell everybody that?
Well, I told a few people that, but I didn't go around saying it very much to anybody. And his manager, Nat Turner was managing Jackie, and Nat said that he wanted to take me on as manager too, take us both on. Oh, a couple of months later, I didn't know Jackie had already recorded Reet Petite with what's it? Barry Gordy, right?
Yeah.
My good man. The song began to move up the chart and becoming extremely popular, and Nat got pretty busy with Jackie, so he dropped me as manager and concentrated on Jackie, which he should have done, you know. But after about another 3 or 4 months, Jackie comes to me and he says, hey Bobby, I'm going to New York. Come over to New York with us. I says, man, I'm doing fairly well here in Detroit, and there's so many guys doing the same thing I'm doing and much better, and just as well. I said, hey, I don't want the hassle. He said, oh man, come on. I said, I'll think it over. So he says, if you want to come, we'll send you a ticket and expense money, and we'll set you up, and you can work some shows for me,
And he did. He did send you the ticket and the money, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
And you went.
And I went, and I started opening shows for Jackie, and then it boiled over to James Brown, opening shows for James Brown and for Hank Ballard and for, of course, Nipsey Russell and Red Fox, and Willie John.
Little Willie John.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. We became pretty good pals in Detroit. I was working the Apollo, and the Fireflies was on the show.
Richie Adams.
Richie Adams was the musical director, and they went over very, very good.
And this was
so
this is a white group.
It's a white group in a black theater, yeah. And they did a bang-up job. Really did a fine job. So after that week at the Apollo, I'm at Oz Inn, and I said, I've got to get me a record. But I'd already recorded a song with for Nat Turner and some other people in Detroit called Mumble Blues. I wrote it because I used to go with a girl that couldn't talk. And I got a girl, they call her Mumble Mum. She can't speak a word, but she sure ain't dumb. She says, baby, you are my desire. Don't you know, sweet Bobby, you set my soul on fire. And so on, it goes on.
And that was issued on Chess Records.
Yeah, Chess picked it up, and they sold it to Mercury. So now I'm at the Apollo with the Fireflies, and so about 3 weeks after the Apollo, I'm saying, I've got to get me a record. So what I'm going to do is I'm at the place called 1650 Broadway, where they have
Brill Building.
And the Brill Building. They're separate buildings, but matter of fact, Irving Berlin has a publishing company at 1650 Broadway. And there are a lot of record companies in there, a lot of managers for entertainers and musicians and recording artists and so forth. Same with the Brill Building down on 49th Street. I said, I'm going to go in every office in 1650. I'm going to knock on all the doors, go in all the offices, and I'm going to ask for an audition. So I did that, and I got up to the 5th floor, and I looked at a door that read Bell Tone Records. I said, hey, I used to have a group called Bell Tones. And I said, okay. So I went in, and who stands in the middle of the office floor but Richie Adams of Fireflies. And that's how Tossin and Turnin began, because he says, come on in and let's hear what you got. And I got on the keyboard with my chopsticks, you know, and I did about 2 songs. He says, those are nice, Bobby, but listen, see what you think of this. And he goes into his briefcase, pulls out the sheet music that read Tossin and Turnin.
What'd you think of it when you saw it?
Well, I couldn't understand what it referred to, really. I didn't think he was talking about somebody that couldn't sleep, you know. When I first saw it was in 1960, summer of 1960.
Summer 1960.
Right, because we recorded it in the fall of 1960, and it came out in 61.
Right. Why did it take him so long to issue it?
Well, they had a hard time getting that played.
Really?
Yeah. And when he got the piano, and he says, listen to this, Robbie. He says, I could not sleep all week last night. Just thinking that, wait a minute, Richie. Instead of saying, I could not sleep all week last night, why don't you say, I couldn't sleep at all last night? Yeah, I like that. And then walk the hand on, man. And he says, then he goes on and says, just thinking of you, something wasn't right. I was tossing and turning and tossing and turning. Wait a minute. Instead of making those little eighth notes, why don't you stretch it out into whole notes? Because I was tossing and turning, and the bass come in, roll up, turning and tossing, you know, that type of music. Yeah. And the A&R man who handles the recording session, smiling from ear to ear.
They knew they had something special.
We like that. And he says, I threw the blankets on the floor. Turned my pillow upside down. That's Richie. Richie, before that. And how you gonna throw the blankets on the floor if you're turning the pillow upside down? Woo! I said, what you ought to say is, I kicked the blankets on the floor. And he started laughing and grinning. He said, listen, do you want to record it? I said, of course, you know, I'm here looking for a recording session or a contract. And by that time, the president of Ellington Records had left his office desk and came into the music room listening to all this. And that's how Tossin and Turnin began.
Always a pleasure.
Anytime, Thomas.
Okay, buddy.